Now, looking at the figures for tourism, fishing, some of the sectors that really saw a massive decline, was it unavoidable? Are there policies or anything that you can do to put in place in your estimation?
There is certainly a lot of what could have been done. Let's look at tourism. I think the first thing we need to look is that 101 in marketing will tell you that when there is a downturn or your business is slowing down, you need to advertise. You need to be more aggressive in advertising. We have certain things going for us. We are looked at as an eco-friendly destination. We are looked as a green destination. We need to market that more. The people that want to go to eco-friendly destinations and green destinations are the people that have money, not the backpackers that come with $10 in their pocket. There are people who have money, so we need to be able to go after them. But secondly, right next to us, we have Mexico. Mexico is a country with over $100 million. I'm sorry, with 100 million persons, Mexicans living there. Their middle class is growing every year. They have a GDP double per person, double of what we have. They have the extra income to be able to come to spend to believe, so we could go and market over there. But I'm just using that as an example. But what I was saying, though, is that we need to make monies available to the productive sector. And I said that in my budget presentation. And you said, but how are we going to do that? Well, two things come to mind quickly. The Prime Minister is boasting that we have the highest foreign reserves for the past 10 years or whatever. That reminds me, William, it would be as if you are saying, you know what, I got $10,000 in the bank, save. And your family, they tell you, but William, your children are not eat properly. You say, but I have $10,000 in the bank. And say, you picked it and now you go to school. But you say, well, I have $10,000 in the bank. What is that $10,000 doing for your family if you just have it put up in the bank? And then I'm not saying that we should go and spend with foreign reserves, but we could leverage that. We could use that money to bring in fresh capital into Belize and then target it specifically to the productive sector. That is one. Secondly, all the banks are required to keep some reserves at the central bank, and they get no interest for that money. The government, through the central bank, can look at the banks and say, well, Mr. Banker, of your reserves that you have there, we are going to make X amount available for you that you are going to lend to the productive sector at a low interest rate, so that then these people can be able to access cheaper capital to keep them going through this difficult time. Using that money, we could look at the small hotel operators, help them restructure their debt. That's something that we did way back after the hurricane hit in San Pedro. We found ways to get it done. We have to look at taxes. 70% of government revenues is from tax collection. Tax collection have three revenue streams: consumption taxes, corporate taxes, and individual taxes. And if you look at the tax system, and any business person will tell you that we have a multitude of taxes and fees that is becoming insidious in the way that we do business. That it's becoming to a point where some businesses or people believe, I better find how I could minimize my taxes because it's so much. We need to come up with a new system. A system that is going to be broad-based, but at the same time give relief to the poor people. You say, well, how you do that? Well, we started looking at how we're going to restructure the tax system. One, we could come up with a new system where every business has, or every person has a special number, or what you call a TIN number, whereby you're going to be identified by that number, and that will tie into all of the different taxes. So it makes it more difficult, one, to evade taxes. Secondly, you computerize it. We talk about a few thousand businesses in this country. I mean, not a lot to talk about. So you computerize it, and thirdly, then you train your people to be able to do the proper audits to make sure that we can collect the amount. Once you can do that, then you could look at the same time to reduce the level of taxes, because then what is happening right now, some people will tell you, it's just a small group are the ones that are paying their taxes, and then you have a lot of other businesses that are around, because they don't have the proper records and they don't have the proper audit trails and the proper people trained to be able to check on them, they're not paying. So that's, again, and that's another way where we can start to look at how we can get the revenues to come in. And thirdly, we also need to continue to invest in do capital spending that will allow us to bring more money and spend more money into the economy to be able to create this movement in the economy. No rocket science.
When you talk about the economy, you know, there's always the argument, is the glass half full or half empty? And the Prime Minister also pointed out that things are bad here, but they're worse in a lot of other places. Is that a perspective that is comfort for fools, or a perspective that is just a reality check that things are dire worldwide?
I think you need to look at it from a different angle. Do we need to be where we are right now? Yes, things might be bad all over the place and in other countries, but do we need to be where we are now? If we would have had a government that would have been doing what it's supposed to be doing instead of fighting with everybody, we would have been in a better position. Yes, we don't say that we are living for world standards, but the pain that we're going through right now, the difficulty that we're going through, wouldn't have been as bad as it is. That's how I would look at it. Look, as soon as the government came in, one of the first problems that we had was when the Minister of Agriculture looked at the rice farmers and said, I am not going to allow you to raise the price of rice. Whilst we might say, well, that's a good thing because then we have to pay a higher rate or more for the rice. But these people are saying, my inputs have gone up. At that time, fertilizer has gone up by more than 100%. And fuel continued to go up and up and up. At that time, it was already about where it is right now, $9. They're saying there's no way I could continue to produce rice and losing money. And the Minister of Agriculture said, well, what we are going to do? We are going to punish you. We're going to give license to bring in rice just to spite you. Those kinds of decisions, that kind of action really does not help. It has made things worse than Belize. And that is my point that I want to bring across to everybody, that this government needs to start to think as a government and not as a party in opposition.